What's up, everybody? Alex here from Wave Strength Performance. And in today's coaching short, I want to talk to you about cable chops. So cable chops are an exercise that we'll prescribe to just about all of our clients. And we'll use several different variations. Sometimes we might have you more side facing or you're chopping right to left. Sometimes we might have you more front facing and in a staggered stance. But whichever variation you get, usually the underlying goal is still the same, right? So our coaching cues and our points of emphasis are going to be the same. And that goal is to help us better orient and control our bodies in space. And this is also going to help us restore some mobility at our joints and some rotational capabilities. So the first coaching point that just about is going to apply to everyone is to make sure in the setup we find and maintain our foot contact. So we made a video about this a couple weeks back where we talked about how to find your foot contacts and the importance of how finding our foot contacts is going to help us control and direct forces into and out of our body and help us maintain some mobility as we do some of these exercises. So if I were setting up in a staggered cable chop here and I was going to chop to my front leg, the first thing I would do is I want to focus on finding my inside heel, my ball of my foot, my big toe, and my pinky toe on both feet, right? So I make sure those are glued to the ground, and then I want to make sure I maintain those as I chop down. One of the benefits of a cable chop, and a reason we might give it to someone, is the cable actually unweights us as we chop high to low. So as I chop down, I'm actually getting a little bit lighter. So this might be a good intermediary step, right, from when we have you find your foot contacts on the ground before we start challenging your ability to find and maintain those foot contacts with something with a heavier load or weight in our hand. So that's step one. One quick coaching note: if I'm struggling to find those foot contacts, one quick thing I can try: widen your stance a little bit. That might make it a little bit easier. If you still can't find your foot contacts, then we might just have to choose a different variation. So give us feedback in your coaching notes. Let us know if you're struggling with that. Coaching point number 2 is we want to make sure we do not have to hold our breath. So one of the biggest mistakes that we always see with cable chops is people try and muscle as much weight as they can, right? I think it's a core strength exercise, right? And more weight equals better. That's not the case here. Like we said, one of our main goals is restoring mobility at the joints. If I load up too much weight on this, I'm going to have to hold my breath as I chop down. The problem that we run into when we have to hold our breath, we're actually locking segments of our joints together as one unit in order to put force into the cable to get it down. So if I have to hold my breath, I'm actually restricting some range of motion and mobility. Not the goal for this exercise, right? So as I find my foot contacts and as I chop down, I should be able to breathe freely throughout this. The way I cue most people to do this is exhale as I chop down during the work, inhale as I come back up during the easy part, So I exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. If you can breathe freely, inhale and exhale, you know you got a pretty good weight for the cable chop. And our last coaching point here is, for these purposes, we want to make sure we're always chopping inside of our base of support. So what is a base of support? It's the widest part of our body, anything between them. So if my feet are wider than my hips and shoulders, anything inside my feet is within my base of support. So if I'm chopping, I want to make sure I'm stopping inside or at my front leg. I don't want to be chopping outside my body. The reason for that, I talked about the benefits of unweighting us with a cable. When I chop outside my base of support, I actually have to push harder against the cable now, Because when something goes outside my base of support, I have to counteract those forces, and I have to squeeze and push harder against that to make sure I don't fall over. So just to recap, 3 main coaching points on our cable chops. Make sure we get the setup right by finding and maintaining our foot contacts. Make sure we choose an appropriate weight, So we don't want to have to hold our breath. We want to be able to inhale and exhale freely throughout the whole movement. All right, and lastly, always chop inside your base of support. We're not coming outside of our body with that cable. All right, so give it a try. Let us know how your cable chops are going, and hopefully you learned something from this video.